Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Java. Thank you so much for joining me on this Wednesday. It is October 11th, 2023. I just want to put out a short note that over the next few days I will be traveling, and so it may be a little difficult for me to be able to post these videos. If I'm not on time or something, that's all that's going on. But I will do my best, or at least keep up on Twitter and also Substack. The links are below in the description. So going on to our risk indicator today has actually fallen below that 300 level. So we are still in extreme risk area. However, with the bond yields dropping, this has really brought risk back. And as a result, yesterday we did see equities go green as it was very positive for mostly the Dow, as we see up, and the NASDAQ. So we'll keep an eye on that. We've got a few things coming up today. So I'd like to point out that our mortgage rates are still over 7.6% for a 30-year fixed. And cryptocurrencies took a bit of a hit yesterday, still above that 27,000 level. So I still think on the long term, very positive about it. But right now, we'll watch what happens. We've got some key data coming up. So with that, the overall kind of sentiment is positive mixed. People are cautious of the data. We're still in a larger downtrend for now. So I urge a little caution. Could be more of a bull trap today. Don't know when we are expecting these numbers out. We'll go over that next. We are looking at also with the conflict going on in the Middle East. A lot of people are looking at that as headwinds for oil as a possible supply concern, even though the bulk of it now is coming from Russia, South America, and Canada. So we had oil pull back a bit yesterday. We'll see what that does today. So for the calendar, we do have core inflation numbers and personal as well. We've got the FOMC meeting minutes coming out this afternoon after 2. So those could potentially move the markets a bit, as well as the jobless claims. So I put up Thursday's data for tomorrow because also some of it is coming out prior to the markets open. So if you decide to have any swing trades or anything you're holding, you might want to adjust your positions accordingly prior to the data in the morning. So for the Fed, we've got the FOMC minutes today. They're also talking about commercial paper at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And since that's such a large sector of concern at the moment, I wanted to make you aware of that as well. So moving forward, we had a little bit going on with the banks. So Bank of Japan, well, their bank clearing systems, which is kind of the equivalent of now our Fed now trying to replace SWIFT, is having issues. They're calling it a glitch, but it went down for a while, and so this halted clearing between the banks, no transfers between the banks. And I think there's something more going on behind here that they're not letting out, because I've heard several things going on with banks, also here in the US, as well as in Europe for their main clearing systems. Now, could they be paving the way for, the open of all so that we can open for the CBDC or the clearing payments? I think that's probably more likely. There's something they're testing out. They don't go just live. So they've got to test out these systems first. And I think that's part of what this is doing. So we have to watch Japan because mostly their bonds, which is, completely different really from the banks. However, what goes on there can drive the fear and emotion over in the United States. So we'll watch that as kind of an indicator. So as far as the conflict in the Middle East, a couple of updates. This one could be trouble. So Saudi Arabia expressing their unwavering support for Palestine. Pardon me. So Riyadh has said it will actively cooperate with regional actors in an effort to bring a swift end to the violence between Hamas and Israel. So from what we're getting in the West, the mainstream media is just kind of pounding it down your throats that we should feel terrible for Israel and that this is all you know, a Palestinian issue, and they're not separating Palestinian between Hamas and some of the other things that are going on there. However, there's a larger picture as well that they're kind of herding and directing. And I would like to urge caution on the point of view here that there's a couple more things going on. So, in direct relation, we had, of all places, Turkey. So Erdogan says he is ready to mediate between the two. So things are getting a little more interesting. We've got Syria coming back in. And all of this does matter here because it's not just a conflict over there. It is a larger global concern. So especially with the borders being as loose as they have been both in Western Europe as well as the United States, there are clear security concerns. And so at this time, if you are pro firearms, I would like to urge that you stay practiced, keep your ammunition stocked, and just be ready. I mean, it doesn't mean it can't happen on European or American soil. So I just want to bring that up. So Israel also just shut a gas field near Gaza. Well, that is also going to hit some supply issues to where they refine and where it comes through. So there's lots of things going on with this. So we had this also come out about an extended war. Markets may be underestimating the conflict over there. Well, war is good for the stock market. So as we saw, equities just kind of bounced. Bonds came back because it's a safety play. So as more people are putting their money into bonds as a safety play, it's positive for the stock market because it brings down that yield and it's bringing down the strength, relative strength of the dollar. So as the dollar gets weaker, the price of stocks go up. They appear to be more expensive. So it's positive for the stock market. Okay, so we've got a couple of points on this about why the extended market. Aside from this, the United States has promised aid. So this will be inflationary because now we've got more billions of dollars that we will be pumping towards Israel instead of Ukraine or both together. So they're talking about the global markets haven't yet fully priced in the inflation risks from what's going on there. Also, the higher prices and more defense spending. And I've got more on that in a bit. But brought up yesterday the suspected pipeline leak in the Baltic. Well, now they're saying it's likely sabotage. So not really a surprise. We kind of knew something was going on with that, but the UN is investigating, so we'll see where that goes. So on this side, and I thought this was interesting, Boeing accelerated delivery of smart bombs after this happened. Now, these were part of a prior contract, as this says, but it's independent. So this was not part of an aid package or anything else, but Boeing made this large deal with Israel, and now they're delivering early, a year early. And the timing just seems a little too convenient, if you get what I mean. Okay, so on to labor. We've got the strikes going on. GM reached a deal with Canadian United Auto Workers, basically. They struck up there is a little bit of a different situation. So they struck a deal much more rapidly than they did in the US, but they're asking also kind of different terms. So we also had the housing industry step up, and they're trying to get Powell to stop raising interest rates. The last time the crisis in '08 was driven by when you lose the housing, you also lose the construction industry. And aside from that, it rolls downhill to the supplies. So we're looking at larger risk of not a soft landing. And in our last story, I wanted to bring up that Malaysia now, as this says, taking a step away from the US dollar. Well, they're making larger trade agreements with in Indonesia between Thailand and China, more direct trade sidestepping the dollar. So thought I would bring this up because it is happening. It's going to take a while still, as I said, but de-dollarizing is happening. Now for some lava updates. So we have this story coming out about, it's in Florida. They're rounding up swans for health checkups. So this is a good thing for the birds. But these were originally a gift from Queen Elizabeth II to this town. And so I just kind of thought, it's kind of black swan season. Keep a lookout for that black swan. And then one other thing I wanted to bring up, the global tax deal as it moves in closer in a race to avoid digital levies. So this is basically on expatriation and the larger kind of a global tax that they want to put in place. This has kind of been working in the background and they've still got this going. I expect it will be implemented, just no idea when, but they want to make sure they get their part basically. So it's all of the countries, nations kind of agreeing on this global tax structure and how it will work. So with that, I wish you all a green trading day, just a wonderful day in general. I appreciate you all being here. If you don't mind hitting the like, I probably will be out or a little off on my timing over the next few days. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.